Hello, today at Finextra at Sibos, I'm speaking to Philippe Chambadal of SmartStream and Joe Velde of Euroclear. Hello. So both of you are here today to talk about the launch of the central data utility. So Joe, can you tell us why banks should be using the CDU?
Well, data today is something, in general, costs for clients are extremely important. So people are looking at quite some making cost savings in their firms. And data is one of the key or important driver for costs. Yeah? So in terms of the direct cost of the vendor feeds, but then you also have the costs in the firms in terms of data cleansing, which is a quite intensive operational process. And then of course there is the consequential damage of having wrong data, where people have to correct errors in the systems, but also the consequential damage of having wrong, so mismatches with counterparties. So data is, I would say, an important cost component, and for us I believe it's quite one of the low-hanging fruits of where people can make cost savings in a relatively short term.
So, almost 40% of all trade breaks are attributed to avoidable mismatches of reference data. So how will the CDU reduce those percentages?
Well, I mean, 30 to 45% trade breaks are not going to translate into 30 to 45% reduction in the entire processing of the cost per trade, but certainly at least 25-30% of the cost, because the data management is one aspect of the equation, but the real impact is that for every dollar you spend on managing data, you'll spend $5 to $7 in fixing broken processes due to bad data. So the overall cost is quite significant if you look at both, again, data management and downstream trade processing.
So Philippe, SmartStream have partnered with Euroclear for the CDU. So, Euroclear, what does Euroclear bring to this partnership?
Well, I think the uniqueness of bringing Euroclear and SmartStream together, I think SmartStream on the one hand, they have the right technology to allow for centralized data cleansing. What Euroclear brings on the table, on the one hand, of course, we have access to data, first of all, yeah. But secondly, and quite important, as opposed to a normal software vendor or a data vendor, we actually use the data, yeah. So we are direct or indirect liable to the quality of the data, yeah. Today, Euroclear has something like 23 trillion of assets under custody, yeah? And we have a market responsibility in terms of executing corporate actions, so the quality of our data is extremely high for the industry. And then the third component is our governance. Yeah? We are governed by the users, and I think that's also very important for users, that they actually, when they provide data to the central data utility, they actually have the right governance around it. So it's around combining technology with the right governance structure.
So the CDU will source data from a number of data vendors and banks. Can you describe some of the data sources and the banks involved?
Well, in terms of sources, I mean, one thing that's very important is that the data utility is not just sourcing security master data, but also corporate actions, index data, ETF data, as well as LEI and counterparty data. So it's very a large and complete data model. So basically all the data that you need to run your middle and back office operations. So the sources were not only sourcing from data vendors, but also from the direct sources of data, such as exchanges, CSDs, CCPs, and also syndication desk. And thanks to Euroclear, we have the data utility we have privileged access to this desk.
Yeah. So Euroclear, we have as an ICSD, where of course we have access to the data for all the international markets, for Eurobonds in particular, but we also have 7 home CSDs in Europe, where we have access to the primary data. And of course, as we bring the central data utility forward, we will extend that access directly to the syndication desks, to the origination, which will allow us to further mutualize data for the industry.